mentioned documents. They said that the previous administration had been interfering in the internal affairs of other countries. They openly showed how much it had cost. They said that the situation in Ukraine was provoked by Joe Biden. They said that they had no intention to claim unicentric rule and hegemony. In rhetorics, we can see this change. It is a question of whether it will be translated to reality. How does the MFA evaluate the fact that the US administration uses a Nazi welcoming gesture in a live broadcast? You probably are talking about a statement that he has made. Why should the MFA respond to that? Was it similar to the Nazi salute? First and foremost, you have to ask that party what that was all about. It was, I don't remember, representative of the administration. You have to ask him what was that. I do not intend to engage in guesswork and try to make up answers. It's not something that I want to do. We have enough Nazi manifestations in Ukraine with a large history. Manifestations in NATO countries are enough against the backdrop of support to Kiev and the real reincarnation of the neo-Nazism.
It is enough that the US themselves don't support the UN General Assembly resolution and vote against the condemnation of neo-Nazism. And you are asking me what happened there on the TV. We see a broader picture. Not on a single occasion did they consolidate themselves with the obvious approach that there should be no glorification of Nazism. That's the problem. And not that someone did something. So ask him about it, then we'll be able to give our assessment. But if an entire country doesn't consider it possible to say no to the new manifestations of racism, xenophobia and neo-Nazism, as a country they don't want to do so, and you are asking about me about an individual case. Do you believe Nazism is only when someone raises a hand? I believe Nazism is when, under the guise of some new developments, hatred ideology is being implemented that destroys the consciousness of children. In my view, that's also a manifestation of neo-Nazism of modern days. All these narratives around gender and segregation based on the principle of superiority and exclusiveness. That's happening on the level of an entire state. This destructive man-hatred ideology is being implemented. Where were you when we were talking about it in the previous years? I absolutely agree with you, Madam Zajárova. And would you allow a second question? The U.S. is now eliminating the traces of the work of the USAID in Russia. Can the Russian MFA give an expert assessment of the harm of the activities of USAID and its influence on the Constitution of Russia? We gave our assessment back in 2012 when we banned the work of this agency in our country. The rest is a question that should be addressed to the lawyers. As for our position, we formulated it and we adopted the respective decision back in 2012, and then we simply commented on the harmful activities of this organization. And in 2020, when you gave your assessment, did it contain the assessment of its impact on our constitution? There was a comment regarding its impact on the internal situation in our country on the whole. We said they were doing something they were not supposed to do. Thank you so much. Let me clarify once again. Rudolf, are you with us? Almayadin? Then that's it for today. Any more questions? Have I skipped someone? Who are you? Please. Good afternoon, Madam Zajárova. 1.5 years, our long telephone conversation. It is something that it was long awaited by the entire world. The entire world was commenting on it. As for the reaction of Western leaders after 1.5 hour long conversation, what happened? So what's your question? How can you comment on the reaction of the Western leaders? So it's not important when they felt after the phone conversation. It's important from the point of view of the root causes of the current states. And the root causes, the origins, is what we keep talking about, the loss of sovereignty, the loss of the identity, the loss of the independence, the loss of the very possibility to implement their national interests. In essence, using the Western language, their democracy has failed. It's no longer working. It is something different. Those are vassal relations. Can democracy and vassal relations coexist? Of course not. Democracy is when the people delegate through specific procedures, specific tasks to those whom the people has elected. And those who have been entrusted with its responsibility should act in the interest of the people. So democracy can be different. It can be ancient democracy, while the modern stage it can be added with traditions, with certain accomplishments. But if you look at the EU countries, you'll see anything political technologies, intrigues and scandals, dirty games, but it lacks the most essential thing. It lacks a democratic toolbox in order to implement the aspirations of the peoples of these countries through electoral procedures. What we see is brainwashing, fooling, the use of technological manipulations. But what people need is not happening, because what they try to delegate is not considered by the political regime. It's not taken on board by the political regimes, and political regimes do everything to make sure that peoples in their countries don't understand what's happening. Hence, rewriting of history. Hence, the narratives about gender and all the rights they try to impose on their people. To make sure the people lose touch with reality. That's the root cause. That's what's terrible. We are talking about entire states. Many of them are ancient states with a long history. Those are the countries that where the origin of the very notion of democracy and world religions, and gave the world classic literature, music, arts. And now they've turned into immature retranslators, into silent megaphones, or just translators of the will of their big brother from across the ocean. That's it from my part. All the best and see you soon.